Well, good morning, AFSA. American Federation School Administrators. You know, my father, I was telling my wife this morning, my father, may he rest in peace, he's probably in heaven and scratching his head and saying a bunch of principals that invited him to come and speak before them. He's probably trying to figure that out because I did not always have a good relationship with principals. You know, growing up as a young boy on the south side of Chicago, I had my own conception. I had my own view of life. But I remember my high school principal, her name was Mrs. Sexton. And she saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. This was my principal. And I always remember the motivation and the commitment that she tried to instill in me. I respect the work that you do. And I am so honored to be here today to speak before this great union. I want to thank my brother, my friend, Ernie Logan, for that introduction. And you know, last month, as Ernie said, we was in Philadelphia at the AFL-CIO convention, and look, I know how much work going to putting these events together, so I want to just recognize, and we should give a hand to everybody who worked around the clock to make this event possible, because these things, look, you know, this is hard work, putting these conventions together, but it's necessary work. It'll allow us to carve out some space in order for us to take stock in where we have been and, more importantly, where we want to go as an organization. These conventions allow us the opportunity to review the challenges that we face and the challenges on the horizon. So I just want to thank everybody who really rolled up their sleeves to put this convention together. And I also want to thank you for the location, right? Hey. Teachers do it right? But look, I really want to thank my friend Ernie Logan and the Executive Vice President Lynn Puglisi and our Secretary-Treasurer Lauren Cherry and the entire leadership team on taking every challenge that came their way and being terrific advocates for all school administrators in these challenging times. My relationship with this organization go back to your former president, Diane Woodard. Me and Diane was good friends. And after her untimely transition, a guy who I've been knowing for years, he's in the communications business. His name is Marco Trubovich. And Marco called me one day, and he said, Fred, I need you to meet with this guy named Ernie Logan, who's going to be replacing Diane. And I remember, Ernie, that first meeting we had, we met in Washington, D.C. and had lunch. And right away, I was so intrigued by his commitment to the public school system, but also his commitment to workers throughout our country. I was intrigued by the depth of how he understood the problems facing workers today. And me and Ernie automatically became instant friends. And we've been together over the years. And what Ernie have brought to the AFL-CIO Executive Council, the governing body of the AFL-CIO, and Ernie sits on that council, represent you, and what Ernie have educated us at the AFL-CIO is that you cannot deal with the issue of public education, okay, by dealing with the teachers alone, because they're an important part of this. But Ernie say school administrators must, and Ernie have demanded, be at the table when those issues are discussed. And I want to thank Ernie because Ernie has been a voice on issues that affect workers through a labor federation that we all love and respect. But see, I come up in an era where, at a time when we had to question, some of us, whether or not that organization loved and respected us, people that look like me and Ernie. And whenever those issues are being raised about fairness, about justice, about making sure that everybody is at the table, Ernie's voice is always included in that discussion. You know, so Ernie, I can't thank you enough for what you have brought to the AFL-CIO and your leadership and for your friendship over the years. So this is my brother, and and your president. And Ernie, I just want to thank you. Let's give him a round of applause because this guy's fantastic. And then I want to ask something of all of you in this room. Through Ernie's help, the AFL-CIO has entered into an initiative with Permission to Dream Foundation that's headed by the gentleman named Chris Gardner. Chris is the author of The Pursuit of Happiness. He's the person that Will Smith portrayed in the movie. And we have entered into a very unique partnership with Chris. We're going to ask y'all for permission to come in y'all schools. And we're going to bring with us some of our members from SAG-AFTRA, bring a little star power to the equation. Yesterday, at the NAACP, SAG-AFTRA just signed a strategic alliance with the Hip Hop Coalition. Yeah, we had them all there. We had them all there. Master P, we had Curtis Blow. You know you old when the young hip hoppers refer to Curtis Blow as Elder Curtis Blow. Yeah. But we want to bring some of our members from SAG-AFTRA, from the NFL Players Association, and the building trades into y'all schools. And Ernie helped me create this, along with AFT. And what we're going to ask y'all to do is to allow us an assembly, particularly focus on high school students. And we want to talk to these students. We want to have a discussion with them about the importance of getting a quality education. But we also going to have the building trades, NAPTU, the North American Building Trades Unions, with us because of a strong commitment that they made to talk to your students, your high school students, about what do a career mean in the building trades, to learn a skill, to learn a trade. What do it mean? And then we have negotiated with the building trades that working with you and the school teachers, we want y'all to identify some students to us. Some students who we are committed to put through an apprenticeship the day after graduation, pay all costs. They will learn a trade. They will learn how to create a profession. They will learn how to raise a family at no cost. And they will learn an apprenticeship. They will become journeyman apprentices with no student debt. Now, so, I just wanted to mention that, Ernie, because I'm excited about it. We're going to kick this thing off in September, mid to the end of September, 1st of October, give y'all time to get in and get settled. And we're going to start in Detroit. We're going to start in Detroit. So when we asked to come in, we would kindly ask that y'all give us permission, okay? Because the issue of public education, the dropout rate in the inner cities is too high. And organized labor cannot continue to sit back and pretend like this is a problem just for the school administrators and the teachers. This is a problem for all of us. So stay tuned. Look, the past 2 years have been rough. And I ain't got to tell this crowd, we've been put through some very difficult challenges over the past 2 years. Workers across the country have borne the brunt of this pandemic, and that includes you, our school leaders. But without your hard work and leadership, look, don't think that I'm oversimplifying this, or don't think that, that we don't realize that without your hard work and your leadership, a generation of America's children would have been lost. You are the ones who kept the schools running. You adapted. You helped teachers move lesson plans through a virtual environment. Never have that been done before. And you provided students the resources and the support they needed to keep learning. And then when we returned to in-person learning, you helped direct the conversation for what is best for our schools, our children, and our communities. You don't get enough recognition for the sacrifices you made. You really don't. Instead of recognition, you get ridiculed. You're slandered by the right wing. You're slandered by some politicians who want to destabilize our public schools. Unfortunately, some of them don't care about our children getting a quality public education because they're too busy turning the debate about wearing masks, or turning the issue of wearing masks into a political weapon. Some politicians are too busy banning books, censoring our teachers from teaching our country's racial and economic history. Some of them, they want to exploit the last 2 years and use it to wage culture wars in our schools for their own political gain. They want to cast our educators as villains. And brothers and sisters, we can't let them do that. We cannot let them get away with that, because the fact of the matter is, you are the heroes in this story. Look, America would be nothing, and I say this in all sincerity, America would be nothing without you. And America would be nothing without public schools. Now is the time for us to invest in our schools so that our children can learn in a safe and welcoming environment. And that includes wraparound services that help an increasing number of students deal with food insecurity and mental health challenges. And look, it's not just about the students. Educators, school administrators, you need these resources and support also. The good news is we have a president who believes in our public schools, in our educators and administrators. Fortunately, we have a president who believes in the role that unions have in building a fair economy and a more just society. Yeah. Think about it. If we did not have a president whose first action in office was to restore rights to working people that have been taken away from us, think about it. We would be in much worse shape. But fortunately, we have a president whose one of his first acts, Ernie, was to appoint a union member as Secretary of Labor. This president, and I'm just mentioning that, I'm not here to try to get votes, but it's important that we understand that this president is the most pro-union president in our history, and he and his administration understand the values of unions and are committed to making our country work for the working class. You know, they're removing some of the barriers that have prevented workers from having a voice on the job and the dead ends that have made organizing new workers a complete maze. We have the worst labor laws in the world when it comes to organizing new workers. And earlier this year, the Task Force on Organizing released its first report with 70 recommendations for more than 20 federal agencies and departments to act to make it easier for workers to organize and collectively bargain. You know, polls have shown, that's right, recent polls from all over the map, right wing, left wing, conservative, liberal polls have all showed that 68% of American workers in this country feel that unions are critical to their ability to receive good wages, fair benefits, affordable health care, be able to work one day and retire with dignity and respect. 68% of American workers believe that the unions are the best way to achieve those goals. Yet, we have labor laws that are broken and make it impossible, to some extent, for those workers to be able to organize and collectively bargain. We have an administration that believes in the power of unions, an administration that knows that when unions do well, and this is economic fact, when unions do well, all America does well. Economists know that, and we do too. Look, we know who stands with working people, and we know who have tried to knock us down. And it is our job to make sure that distinction is clear with all of our members going into November and beyond, up to 2024. You know, we're going to make damn sure we're doing everything we can this November to keep a pro-worker majority this fall so that this president can keep advancing a workers' first agenda with the union on your behalf at the table crafting that agenda. Now, how are we going to do that? We're going to have one-on-one conversations with our members. We're not going to talk about D's. We're not going to talk about R's. We're going to have conversations with our members about what's happening in this country to workers. And we're going to listen. And we're going to hear about the issues that our members care about. And we're going to have a conversation about those issues. See, we're going out this December with an unprecedented number of organizers out in the field, earning mobilized around these midterms elections. And we're going to reestablish a connection with our members, and we're going to earn their trust. Because we know that we can be a trusted source of information about the candidates who we know will deliver for working people, all working people. About the candidates who care about workers having a real voice on the job. You see, this November, we're going to do what school administrators do best. We're going to educate our members. Our members need educating. Our members need to understand what's at stake. And our members need to understand who in D.C. really has their back. And we can start with the discussion on the state of our democracy. Brothers and sisters, our democracy is at risk. State after state have passed or is trying to pass legislation that restricts the right to vote. Think about that. Instead of excelling the right, making it easier for people to vote, state legislators in this country, in the United States, is passing legislation to restrict folks' constitutional rights to vote. So, it's up to us to demand that everybody has an opportunity to vote. It's what we teach in our schools. And it's what we need to preach to every single union member. And every single worker in this country absolutely has to have the right to collectively bargain for their own future. You know, these are basic fundamental freedoms. But we have seen through the recent decision from this Supreme Court, Roe versus Wade, freedom is not free. Rights are not guaranteed under the Supreme Court. So we need folks to know that unions are going to play a pivotal role in terms of fighting for this democracy. Because this democracy is worth fighting for. This democracy have enabled people like all of us in this room. Some of us in this room probably were the first ones in our families who had the opportunity through this democracy to go to college. A lot of you in this audience probably are the first ones in your family because of this democracy to lead and a bunch of school teachers in formulating and developing the minds of our young people. Those rights came through a democracy. Plessy versus Board of Education. We don't live through all of that. These rights have been established, but they're at risk. And we know that unions are the best way to safer jobs by giving workers a voice at the table on safety, on scheduling, and staffing levels, so that our students and educators get the attention and resources that they rightfully deserve. Look, if we're not able to get the resources that we need to properly educate our children, then we won't be able to retain our greatest resource, our educators, our administrators, and our children. So, look, we can't afford to have our school leaders burn out, looking for another line of work. The work that you do is so critical to the future of this democracy. So we can't afford to have our public schools under-sourced because our educators and teachers, like so many working people, look, you're fed up with being underpaid and overworked. And you're fed up. Never thought the day that we would see, think about this, I might be telling my age, but I never thought the day I would live to see the day that teachers feel unsafe in their own workplaces. These are some challenging times. But I'm here to just tell you that the labor movement is up to the task. We're going to keep pushing for fully funded schools so that our children have the foundational education that leads to bright futures. We have to use our union voice at this moment during these times. And look, we have tens of millions of working people who want to join a union, and we need to capture that enthusiasm. Workers want and deserve the right and respect what comes with carrying a union card. So we have to get more of those cards in their hands. Look, it's critical for all of us to continue to organize, to keep building our capacity, and to keep engaging with our communities. This is our opportunity to show all working people that the labor movement is for them because the labor movement is for everyone. And making that clear, us making that clear is the only way to guarantee a strong labor movement in the future. This is our chance to grow opportunity for people of color, communities that have been left out. This is our opportunity to encourage women and young people and workers of color to step up, fill leadership roles. We need to show more people that the doors of the union movement is wide open. And AFSA, let's give more workers an opportunity at a life-changing union job. Let's change our workplaces for the better. Let's change our communities, and in doing so, we, the labor movement, can change our country. So we need to push. We need to push. We need to wake up every day and push and fight for the change that we want to see. Because we know that when we have diverse voices and diverse perspectives at all levels of the labor movement, we all benefit. Everybody in, nobody out. You see, we're part of something larger than ourselves, and it's going to take all of us. We all have a role to play. This is our moment. I believe that one day our children and our grandchildren are going to hold us accountable on how did we respond at this moment. Brothers and sisters, this is our time. This is our time to grow our movement, to build our communities, and ensure that the next generation of workers will be able to say, union, yes. Solidarity, brothers and sisters. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything you're going to do. Let's organize. Let's organize, and let's take our country back. Thank y'all very much.